Hi, Jason Allen Griffin here, and today I'm going to talk about some muscles that you find in your arm, specifically the triceps. The triceps are so called because there are three separate heads, the long, the medial, and the lateral. The triceps will basically cross the elbow joint, they make up the back of the arm, and they will attach somewhere on the shoulder depending on which head it is. The basic action of the tricep is to either flex the shoulder or to extend the elbow or both. So since there are three tricep heads and only two bicep heads, the bulk of the size of someone's arm largely has to do with the size of the triceps. So today I'm going to show you about 6 exercises for working the exercise, or for working the muscle, and they have varying degrees of effectiveness, which I will talk about. The first one is my favorite, since I favor body weight exercises over lifting weights. The first one is the push-up. To do the push-up, place your hands on the ground, basically below your shoulders, and then hold yourself into a plank position. The intensity of the push-up can be adjusted by planking from your knees, or you can also change the angle of the push-up by putting your hands up on something and doing it that way. And so to execute the push-up from the plank position, you just basically will bend your elbows, lowering yourself to the ground, and then push back up. I think the push-up is the best exercise because of how it incorporates the whole body, and the angles of all the joints are pretty natural and normal and typical of everyday life. Another option is a dip. And so here's the way to do a dip: is to place your hands on a bench or a seat, and then to slide out, lower yourself down, and then push back up. And so this is an exercise that's good for the tricep, and the drawback to it is this extreme angle here can sometimes be difficult for people's shoulders. And so if the dip doesn't work for your body, don't worry, there's plenty of other options for your triceps. And here's another version of the dip where I'm going to use some bars. And that dip emphasizes more the front chest, whereas the dip that I showed you on the back better isolates the triceps. So far, all the exercises I've showed you have used both the shoulder and the elbow joint. And as I described, the tricep muscle crosses both joints, so the best exercise is going to be one that uses both. But here's a few exercises that isolate just the elbow joint. First of all, something that you might see in a gym using dumbbells, and it's called the skull crusher, because if you're doing this exercise and the weights slip out of your hand, it'll crush your skull. So it basically looks like this. You're lying back on a bench and holding the weights up above your head, and then bend your elbow until the weights come down to your head, and then straighten them out again. So this is an exercise that completely isolates the tricep. I'm not a big fan of isolation when it comes to working muscles because I feel like it wastes time. I like more of the compound exercises. And so the next exercise I want to show you is done at the gym. And I don't have weight equipment here in my home studio, but you'll have to imagine that I'm using the weight pulleys. And I have it set up so that I'm pulling weight, and then I'm going to stand here, and depending on what angle I put my shoulder at, I can isolate the triceps here, or I can also have the weight coming down from above and then do an exercise like that. Oh my gosh, I just broke my strap. But both of those things isolate, again, the tricep muscles, and so I don't consider those as good as the things like the push-ups and the dips, which are compound exercises using more joints. And finally, this is a dumbbell exercise called the kickback. And in this one, the upper arm is parallel to the floor, and I'm going to use the tricep to lift out. And while this exercise does isolate the tricep muscle, because of the effect that the weight has and gravity, it's kind of an awkward exercise, and one that I don't recommend, because in this angle, in this joint angle here where the muscle is the strongest, the weight resistance is the least. And then as the angle of the joint increases, the pull of the muscle becomes less, and so the muscle is effectively weaker in this angle, but at this place, gravity is putting more resistance here. So, in effect, you have less resistance where your muscle is strongest, and then more resistance where your muscle is weakest. Also, a lot of people will find that this puts a lot of strain in the shoulder joint. So then that would be the final exercise for the triceps, and one that I don't recommend. So to summarize, do push-ups and do dips, and enjoy your triceps. Thanks for watching.